Hello to all of our families of our Key Stage 1 children. This presentation is to welcome all of our parents to Key Stage 1 and to tell you all about the things that the children will be doing this year. Hopefully, by the end of the presentation, you'll understand the work that the children are going to be doing. You'll understand the expectations that we have of the children and how you can support them at home with their learning. Let me introduce you to the staff in Key Stage 1. Firstly, I'm Mrs. Franklin Hackett and I'm the phase leader, so I look after all the children in Year 1 and Year 2 and support all of the teaching staff across the Key Stage. In Year 1, we have Mrs. Whitworth, who is the teacher of 1 Owls, supported by Mrs. Harwood. Then we have Mrs. Lindsay in 1 Kingfisher with Mrs. Jassel, Mrs. Garner in 1 Wrens with Mrs. Sandhu, and Mrs. Cooper in 1 Robins with Mrs. Shake and Mrs. Cherry. In Year 2, we have Mrs. Singh as the class teacher of 2 Robins alongside Mrs. Patel. We have Miss Breslin in 2 Kingfisher with Mrs. Gina. And finally, we have Miss Weaver in 2 Owls with Miss Cook. We're also very lucky in Key Stage 1 to have some extra staff that help us. So we have Mrs. Cherry and Mrs. Katoon who work in the inclusion team. We have Mrs. Kearney, Mrs. Gudgeon and Mrs. Ahmed who work as part of the intervention team. And then finally we have Mrs. Ali who is our PPA teacher. So she comes in on Wednesdays and Thursdays to teach the children while their class teachers go out and get all of the lessons ready for the week and the following weeks to come. So let me talk you through some of our school policies. So firstly is the attendance and punctuality. We expect children when they are fit and well to be in school every day and here on time so that they can be ready for all of the lessons for the day. For their behaviour, we expect children to make sure that they are in the right place at the right time. We expect them to sit and listen to the teachers and follow the rules. And when they're out on the playground, for them to be kind and helpful and play nicely with all other children. In terms of equipment for school, the children have to make sure that they bring their book bags to school, and inside that book bag they will have their reading books and their reading records, and when they bring their homework to school they can also keep that in their book bag. If you don't have a book bag, you can order those through Parent Pay and collect those from the office. We also would like the children to have a PE kit. On the screen you can see what that PE kit is made up of. A t-shirt, shorts or jogging trousers, some pumps or trainers, and hopefully all of those will have the names of your child on them and stored inside a PE bag. If you haven't got a PE bag, a carrier bag is absolutely fine, but make sure it has got their name on it. And again, if you'd like a Frederick Bird PE bag, please order those through Parent Pay and collect them from the office. And then finally, our homework. We send homework out to the children on a Monday evening. There should be a spelling piece of work, a reading piece, and a maths piece. The spellings, if you could practice those words with the children on a daily basis, they'll be ready for their spelling test the following week. With reading, if you could read with your child or children for at least 20 minutes every single day, you'll really see how much progress they can make in their reading. And then finally their maths piece of homework, that will be based on learning that the children have done in the week, so they should know how to do the work. But if you're stuck or your child is stuck, then please ask your teacher for help. That piece of work needs to be completed and handed back by the following Monday. Now let me talk to you about our curriculum. Our school year is broken up into half terms, so we've already completed autumn 1. We're just about to enter autumn 2, and then we'll have spring 1, spring 2, summer 1 and summer 2. Each half term we start a brand new unit of work where we have a theme that we focus on. You will be sent via Class Dojo a curriculum overview for each half term. So over the next week, you'll be sent all of the information about Autumn 2's curriculum for Year 1 and Year 2, and that will tell you all of the exciting learning that we're going to be doing. Class Dojo is the way that we share all important information with our parents. Please make sure that you've got access to Class Dojo and that you can log on your account, and that children can also access this. This is the way that we will send out messages to you via the class story, but you'll also get the newsletter via the school story. If you need help with login, then please contact your class teacher and we will be able to provide those for you. Here are some ways that you can also help your children as they move through Key Stage 1. It's really important that the children increase their level of independence and that they start to do things on their own. And most importantly, they realise that they can do things on their own and they will make fantastic progress. As I've already mentioned, that the children will be sent home with a reading book. In fact, some children might have 2 reading books at any one time. If you could read together with your child, or they could read to you, or you could read to them, or even if they've got brothers and sisters or other family members, they could read. If you did this for 20 minutes every single day, the children would become more confident readers, more fluent readers, and you would see how much fantastic progress they could make. The next thing is counting. This is to help them with their maths. So counting in numbers, so counting from 1 to 10, 1 to 20, all the way up to 100 if you can. Counting in our multiples of 2, 5s, 10s. The children will be doing this in their learning, so they should be able to explain to you how they need to count. Even simple things like when you're walking along, count the number of footsteps that you do. If you live in a house with stairs, count the number of stairs. Count forwards, count backwards. Numbers are all around us. Again, if you do this every day with the children, they'll make fantastic progress. Another really important thing is asking questions with your children, pointing things out to children, making them curious about the world around them. It's important that they find out things, that they ask questions about the world around them, or you point things out to them about the world. By doing this, it will help with their independence and it will make them better learners. And finally, we have some apps that the children can access at home. Let me point those out to you now. So firstly, we have Bug Club. This is our online access to reading. The children will be given access to a book that their teachers think they can confidently read, and throughout that book, this bug appears. And that asks questions about the books. If the children can have a go at answering those questions, that would be fantastic. And then the eyes on the bug will close and they can move on to the next page. They won't get a new book until all of the questions in the book have been answered. So it's really important to look out for the bugs and make sure that you answer the questions and close their eyes. In Year 1 and Year 2, the children have access to a programme called Numbots, and this links to the counting that I was talking about earlier. The children have used Numbots in their class, so they are really familiar with it. This is a game where children practice their counting and move through the different levels. In Year 2, this is extended to something called Times Table Rockstars. TT Rockstars we call it in school. This is where the children can practice their times tables, so that counting in 2, 5s and 10s, then moving on to 3s and 4s and so on through the times tables. Hopefully, if Year 1 become really successful at Numbots, they too can move on to TT Rockstars. And then the final app that we have is EdShed. And EdShed looks at their spelling work and also their maths work. And the teachers will set assignments that the children can access that link to their learning in the classroom. If you have any questions about the children's learning, then feel free to contact the teachers either by asking to speak to them in the morning or at the end of the day, or send us a message on Class Dojo. Okay, moving on to assessments and progress. This is where we regularly check how well the children are doing and to see if they need any extra support. So the assessments that we carry out in school are spelling tests. We do this on a weekly basis. So the children will be given a set of words to learn at home and practice, and then the following week they will learn how to spell those. And then over time, the children will be able to use those independently in their writing. We have a daily phonics lesson, and throughout that we carry out assessments to check that the children know all of their letter sounds, and then that they can use those letter sounds and put them together to say words, and then learn to write those words, and again use those more independently in their writing. And over time they will be able to write longer and longer pieces of writing. In maths, we do two little things called Magic Maths and Flashback 4. These are daily tasks made up of 5 to 10 questions that the children work through quickly to practice all of their math skills. Then, every half term, we carry out an assessment for reading, writing and maths, where the children will be asked lots of questions about the learning that they've done over that half term to see how much they've remembered, how much progress they've made, and then that helps the teachers to know what work we have to do with the children the following term. Then in Year 1 and Year 2 we have two important sets of testing. Firstly is something called the phonics screen. Our Year 2 children will be completing their first phonics screen in December. If the children don't pass the phonics screen in Year 2 in December, they will then resit it in July. So some children will have 2 chances to complete that. Some children will pass the phonics test in December. And then Year 1 will complete a phonics screen in June next year. And then Year 2 will also sit Key Stage 1 tests, okay? Like the Year 6 SATs test, you might be familiar with those. And the Year 2 will complete those in May next year. So that brings us to the end of our presentation. Hopefully, you won't have any questions, but if you do have any questions about anything that you've heard throughout this presentation or you'd like further explanation, then please come and speak to me as your phase leader or speak to your class teacher. Or, as mentioned, you can send us a message via your Class Dojo, but please be aware that teachers might not always check these regularly as they're teaching your children or preparing for lessons, and they may not answer straight away. But rest assured, those staff members will get back to you with any questions that you raise. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and I am very much looking forward to working with you and your children over the next half terms. Goodbye everyone.